Oh, hi. Yeah. So Oli London has been attacking the Transage community. So he posted a tweet on May the 12th, which was a few days ago, saying, Transage is the dangerous concept of an adult identifying as a child, and members of the Transage community want people to accept their quote unquote age identity so that they can gain access to children. So, I mean, I've got a few issues with that, first of all. So basically, he's saying that trans age people, trans age is a concept which involves an adult identifying as a child, but obviously it isn't because, I mean, I I have age dysphoria, as you'll know from my previous video, or one of my previous videos. And I actually identify as a younger adult in the 20s. So first of all, like, that's not true. I know a lot of trans age people do identify as children, but I mean, it's kind of like a quantum leap to assume that just because somebody wants to be younger, that that they want to do so to gain access to children, you know. Um, so yeah, so anyway, I mean, this is part. He actually posted two tweets. Um, so I mean, like, the replies are predictable. I mean, like, well, probably most of you know who Oli London is. He is a British cisgender male who originally thought they were transgender. So he transitioned to a trans woman a couple of years ago, and then he claimed to be transracial after that, and said that he identified as a Korean, um, and somebody ethnically Korean, as opposed to somebody who will become Korean by taking up nationality in Korea. Which, I mean, he could have become Korean if he'd wanted to become Korean. I'm sure if he'd applied for Korean citizenship, they would have kind of looked to see, if he had work there, if he was okay, if he intended to fully, he was serious about it, and he would have been accepted, but he wouldn't have been ethnically Korean. So, um, but anyway, he's kind of done an about turn now and gone from being the target of the alt-right and the TERFs, being held up as an example of someone who is, unreasonable, to being a TERF himself or a transphobe himself, and he's got like some really right-wing opinions as well. You know, I think he's got some really reactionary opinions. So, so yeah, so the comments are predictable, I mean, there is this assumption that when you've got a few sort of mocking ones here, can I identify as 65 and start collecting SS, which I presume is like Social Security, which is pension, I guess. And then they're all obviously saying that they're kind of going through the idea that this is some kind of ruse to actually gain access to children for immoral, abusive purposes. Um, and then you have trans people actually speaking up then saying the trans community does not support or endorse such trans age people. It's an invalid and separate entity. So there's a few trans people on here who've actually disassociated themselves from the from the comments from the trans age community. I mean, here for instance is a video. Someone's posted a video of an looks to be obviously an adult male who is either age regressing or considers himself transage and identifies as a baby. But I actually think, I'm not sure, but this person isn't transage. They age regress. So, and like quite a few people age regress as well. And again, it has nothing to do with sexuality or anything, but these hard right people use this to try and basically attack a community. See, the person who posted this. So, I mean, what we've got here is a person who is transage called Transage Cat, who did a few videos on YouTube, and all they've said is the age unicorn, how you feel age identity, and how many years you've lived calendar age, and how old your body thinks you are biological age. So there is nothing there to suggest any sexual impropriety or any call to justify any sexual impropriety. It's about people who have age dysphoria and who fear aging, who get distressed about aging, and actually, it's like a more widespread condition than is obviously assumed. I mean, most people, there are a lot of people who are actually age dysphoric because the anti-aging industry is one of the biggest industries in the world, one of the most lucrative industries in the world. It's worth, I don't know how many billion. And I mean, most people, well, particularly most women, have dyed their hair. Most older women have dyed their hair to look younger, or use anti-aging creams, or even have Botox or facelifts to look like younger adults. But they're age dysphoric, and in a sense, you could say that we, as I count myself in that kind of group of people, are actually trans age. Because we're trying to transcend age, or we don't want to be pigeonholed as, I mean, I say I don't like telling people my age, and I won't tell people my age except to say I'm over 18. And but some people who are trans age, or there are quite a few people who, at the moment in the community, who are out as trans age, are actually adults who wish they were children. And these forums, I mean, I've seen them on Reddit, and they seem completely genuine to me, and there's no, I mean, they hate anything like, child abuse or anything. That's those sort of people are banned from their Reddits and online spaces, So yeah, so I think the trans age community are being unfairly targeted here, and that's actually quite a controversial thing for me to say because I mean, if I go on to here, um, there's obviously the kind of usual kind of assortment of right-wing trolls and people who are looking to pull people apart, but there's also some trans people as well who actually disassociate themselves from the trans age community. And I don't feel like I don't think we in the trans community should be buying into um, Oli London's bigotry, basically. Um, so if I can find an example, um, because I did, I mean, if I can find an example here of something somebody posted about it, if I go into Transage, If I do a search on Transage, Oli London, maybe that will come up. Um, so yeah, so as I say, the usual assortment of right-wing trolls. Um, yeah, have another look actually, because he actually did another post about trans age people as well, um, along with a whole load. I mean, there's like a constant slew of transphobia on Oli London's Twitter timeline. It's just absolutely wild, and not in a good way. Um, but yeah, I mean, here actually, like, I know this is off topic, but I mean, he actually says here, and these are a group of men with Down syndrome, or who are drag queens who have that Down syndrome. And Ollie London has said here, a group of vulnerable men with Down syndrome being paraded around dressed in drag at pride festivals around the world. Do you think this is exploitative? Well, actually, if they want to be there, I mean, there are LGBTQ plus people with Down syndrome. And I think it's very important that, people with Down syndrome are included in pride parades, people who are sort of LGBTQ plus, and included in queer spaces. So, I mean, again, it's almost like he's trying to say that people with Down syndrome can't be queer as well, So, but yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, let's see if I can find it. This is just a constant tirade against trans people. So yeah, I mean, he's targeted the same person, trans age cat. So he's sort of said, ladies and gentlemen, this is what they are pushing to normalize next. This will be included under the trans umbrella, and they will call anyone that they will call anyone that objects hateful transphobic bigots. Well, I mean, Transage Cat here is tweeted map someone who is attracted to minors. Transage a minor. If you're attracted to transage minors, no matter their chrono age, you're a map. So what Transage Cat is saying here, if if you're attracted to any any minor, whether they're somebody who is chronologically a minor or someone who is not chronologically a minor but identifies as a minor, then you're a map, So Transage Cat isn't justifying, I shouldn't say that word because it would get blocked out. Transage isn't justifying child abuse here. They're actually speaking out against it. So again, I mean, I feel like this targeting of the trans age community is unfair. Um, I mean, that I don't know whether that's trans age related or not. I mean, as far as I know, um, that there isn't an incest flag, and obviously incest is wrong. But this again is something that Ollie is making up in his head. And let's see what the quotes are here. So, I mean, they're mostly full of people who are saying that who are buying into Ollie London's insistence that trans age people are wrong uns. And, so it is kind of, I just find it really, I just find it really awful that it's targeting a minority who actually just suffer from grassophobia. Um, so there's some trans people who are objecting, saying, "Oh, they're nothing to do with us," and we don't want them in our community, etc. Um, so yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just wild, really, how people just don't kind of think beyond the box. But there is one quote. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. Um, so there is one trans person, or there's actually a couple of trans people by the look of it, who have objected to, because when Oli London posted this, um, I mean, I don't know whether this is a trans person or not, but I did see one quote from somebody saying they were trans and they don't. Yeah, here. I mean, Valid Positivity says, "Hi, trans person here. If I learn you support trans age people or trans age, I will block you. Trans age isn't valid. Same goes for any, you know, those people. An overall sick F word. Also, Ollie, I recommend you The Rainbow Fish. It's such a good read." So, I mean, yeah, as you can see here, like the trans community sort of don't like people who say they suffer from age dysphoria, as I found out. Even if you feel like you want to be a younger adult, they still won't accept you. Um, so, yeah, I mean, there's quite a few examples here of LGBT people kicking trans age people out of groups. I mean, this cartoon here, I used it in my age dysphoria video, but I mean, let's take a closer look at it, if I can make it bigger. So, yeah. So, I mean, you see here, I'm trans age. I just identify as a different age than my chronological age. I'm not a P word. I experience trauma. I experienced trauma as a chronological child, and so you're just a P. What? No, trans age isn't related to P. So the LGBT community character or the ally pushes the trans age person over, and two other people come along and say, "Are you okay? We're here for you." And the trans age person says, "Yeah, thanks." And then this person turns around, then this LGBTQ plus ally or trans ally person, and says, "See, I always knew you were a P. You're even associating with other creeps." So, I mean, that's kind of what happened to me because I identified as having age dysphoria, which I do have age dysphoria, and I wanted to be a younger adult. I'm talking about early 20s here. Even though I wanted to be a younger adult, that was still enough for me to get completely um, ostracized by trans Twitter. I'm not saying everyone was like that, but people. I mean, it's almost like there's a kind of we're at war at the moment with TERFs. We are at a state of war, and unfortunately, anybody like me is seen as a liability to the trans community. And language is very important as well if you use the wrong words for something. So if I'd said Garaskophobia, they would have accepted that. But because I said I had dysphoria about aging, which is essentially the same thing, they sort of came down on me like a ton of bricks. And I mean, everyone who knows me knows that I'm not, I'm okay. Well, I say I'm okay. I'm not a perfect person, but I'm okay. I'm not some sick, horrible um, predator. In fact, I'm not even like interested in having sexual relations with anyone. My sex drive is largely gone because of the treatment I had for my um, blood cancer, which is polycythemia vera. Um, I was on interferon, so that actually, um, I think, was what killed my sex drive, and also I'm on HRT as well. So, and I mean, I know it doesn't always stop trans women's sex drives, but yeah, it's as I say, like there's the irony in me getting labelled as somebody like that, some horrible sort of sick predator, evil person is not lost on me. I mean, yeah. So yeah, so again, please do tell me what you think. I mean, it's strange, like, I mean, as I said, it's like a quantum leap, really, for somebody to actually decide that because somebody is afraid of aging, that that means that they actually want to have sex with minors. I mean, it's just beyond. I mean, Twitter isn't the best sort of place for nuance anyway, and I mean, but it's almost like people are just behave as a mob on there, you know? And I think like the trans community is so much on the defensive at the moment that there's so much infighting going on, and sometimes they take it out on other trans people. Um, and yeah, I mean it's just such. I mean, considering how many women, sort of particularly women in particular, go for Botox or um, facelifts or use anti-aging cream or even dye their hair. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You're going to label all of them as you're going to consider that a red flag, like a 50-year-old woman trying to look like she's in the 20s. You're going to say, oh, she's doing that because she wants to ensnare millennials or something. Yeah, just tell me what you think. I mean, it's just, as I say, I think it's something that we need rather than actually kind of bolster up the bigots like Oli London and say, oh, no, not us, we're not like that type of thing. People should be looking at it and saying, well, how do you know this person is a risk to anyone? I mean, most people who are a risk to children don't identify as transage. Most people who are a risk to women in women's spaces aren't transgender, they're cisgender. But the TERFs say the similar thing about transgender people. They say, oh, you're only transitioning so that you can use women's restrooms and changing rooms so that you can predate on women, on cis women. And unfortunately, the transgender community seems to have replicated that in a way, or some of the transgender community seem have kind of replicated that and have sort of said that, oh well, yeah, you only want to look younger because you want to abuse younger people. Um, it's very sad to see that happen, but that is quite a thing That's quite a common phenomenon with press groups. You'll have an oppressed group, one group then becomes the oppressor, and then the group they oppress becomes oppresses somebody else, and like it goes on and on and on, like a repeating pattern. So yeah, it's quite an interesting phenomenon, really. Awful phenomenon. So yeah, please do tell me what you think, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you have any comments, please leave them below, and thank you for watching, and if you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I'd be very grateful. So cheerio for now, and take care all, and stay safe. So, bye.